Hi, if you missed class on Thursday, October the 21st, this is the correct video for you to watch. I'm just going to let you know a few things that I changed in Google Classroom. Okay, so if you go to the stream, there is an announcement on there that says class Zoom link. Click to join here. So if you click on that, it takes you directly to the link where you can join um, our class Zoom. Okay, there's one new post. The next new post asks you to look through how Google Classroom is set up. Okay, and I kind of gave you a few details, but if you go and click through it, it'll be easier for you to understand. Okay, so if you go to classwork, notice on the left-hand side there's topics. Okay, I named the new topics as we go. They're going to be T2 because we're in the second 9 weeks, term 2. The week number tells you what week we're in, okay? If you click on that topic right on the left-hand side, it's going to only open up assignments for that week specifically, okay? Um, Also, when we click in classwork, if you notice, I moved the Zoom link to the top of the page so that way we don't have to scroll all the way down and try to find it. Okay, so now it's in classwork, first thing we see. Okay, so today's focus is graphing from equations. So if you go to T2 week 1, click on today's date, 10/21, click where it says sign in, it takes you to a Pear Deck. The first slide of your Pear Deck, okay, relates to what we worked on last class, okay, and actually the first 5 slides. So slide 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are related to the topic of key features on a graph. Okay, so in class when we did this, we had about 2 minutes to work on each slide. Okay, if we needed longer, I of course extended the time, but um, that's how our class was set up. Okay, that was our warm up getting into class. So if you want to pause the video and maybe go work on those, right? Remember, these are the key features. So it's the x-intercept. Remember, we find that on the x-axis. Okay, another name for the x-intercept is 0. Okay, the y-intercept is on the y-axis, right? So we are finding where our line is crossing or intersecting the y-axis. Okay, so moving past those first 5 slides, we answered these questions in class. The m is called our slope. We circle that one. That is the number that is paired with, next to, however you're going to remember it, it's with the x or the variable. Okay? The b, including the plus or the minus sign, right? That is our y-intercept. That's where it's crossing the y-axis. Okay? Next slide asks us how we find the slope and the intercept. So a couple of ways that we can find slope. We can use our slope formula, or we can use rise over run on a graph. The y-intercept, I just asked where it was located because that's the one that we can just go and find on the graph. So that one is located on the y-axis. Okay, so our learning target for today is to graph lines from equations that are in slope-intercept form. So remember, that's when it looks like y equals mx plus b. So our checklist, the way we're going to achieve that is to first determine what the slope and the intercept are from the equation. Okay, our next step is to plot our b, right? Plot the intercept. We're going to use rise over run for our slope, and then we're going to draw a line through our 2 points. Okay? So before we move on, I wanted to remind us of a couple of things. Okay, in order to change a whole number into a fraction, the only thing we can do is draw a line underneath and put a 1. Okay, and we do this because our slope is set up as rise over run, right? So we want fractions when we're graphing. We want our slope to be in a fraction, so that way I know how many to rise and how many to run. Okay, so anytime we have a whole number and we want to change it to a fraction, we put it over 1. So I like to say if it doesn't have a run, we give it a 1. Okay, and the reason why we put a 1, guys, is because if we divide whatever number we have by 1, it gives us the same thing. So it doesn't change what we originally started with. Okay, so when we're doing rise over run, right, we've got the top number, the bottom number. One of us tells us to go up or down. The other one tells us to move to the right. Okay, we don't always have to go to the right. I don't want to say always. We like it to go to the right. Okay, so if we need to, we may have to work backwards on some of the problems. Okay, but mostly we're running to the right. Okay, I'm going to save this one as a bonus. Okay, I should have placed it further in our assignment, but because it's multiple part on this one, you have to do the graphing part first. Then you've got to move by what my slope tells me. Okay, then you're looking for an entirely different thing, right? We're not just graphing the line, you're actually looking for a key feature. Okay, so if you do get this one completed, I'll give you some extra points on that one. Okay, so this is the last one I'm going to work with you. After this, they are very similar to this one. Okay, so my first step, or what I would like you to do, is to determine which number is your slope and which number is your intercept. Okay, so if I use the x, or the variable, as an indicator to find slope, right, I know that this one is my slope, a positive 3/5, and then that has to leave this one as my intercept. Okay, notice how they're in reverse order now. But what I did was I found the x, right, and then I circled the one that was with x. Okay, so step 2 of my checklist is to plot my b. So I'm going to go ahead and see -3. That's where my line should be intersecting the y-axis, right? So y-axis -3, there's a point. Y-axis -3, there's a point. Y-axis -3, nope. C is not correct because my line's nowhere near that. Okay, so now if my rise is 3 and my run is 5, I've got to see which direction I'm going and seeing which one will land on my line. Okay, positive tells me that I count up 3 times. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 times, and then I'm moving to the right 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, my line is not anywhere near that, so I know A is not correct. But let's check B. So I'm going to count up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm moving to the right 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one lands on my line. That's what I needed. Okay, my checklist tells me to draw a line through them. This question was just picking which graph matched, so it's a little bit different than the graphing process, but we would have to just match what the line looks like to what our equation is. Okay, so we're going to follow that same process. Plot your B, do rise over run for the new point, and then draw a line to go through. Okay. In looking at this problem also, right, to kind of help us cross out some answer choices, I can tell that my slope is positive. So, right, if we do this minus and this plus, we can tell that my slope or my line is positive on this one. So that kind of would help me even before I did my rise over run, right? I know that this line is negative, so I know this one cannot be right, and it would have to be this one. Okay, so the next slides are for you to work on. Okay, work on identifying your B and your M first. Slide number 16 is also bonus.